Hello and welcome to another edition of Fisher Football Focus. I'm your host, James Bailey. No new game this past week as the Cardinals had a much-needed bye. The bye week comes after an impressive 6-1 start to the season, which saw blowouts and close games, seniors and freshmen, 2-minute drills, and long touchdown drives. Let's recap how we got here.
Things started well for Fisher in their opener. This Tony Fusco touchdown run was one of 8 Cardinal touchdowns scored in a 52-10 rout of Olivet College. Their next game held a little more excitement. Matt Nathan hits Mike Cliccio here to put the Cardinals up 28-7 over Springfield College in the fourth quarter. Fisher allowed Springfield to score 2 quick touchdowns, however, one of which was set up by this botched punt, making it a 1-score game. The Cardinals wouldn't break, though, as Nathan would hit Cliccio for a 54-yard touchdown to put Springfield away for good. Fisher won the game 35-21 and started 2-0, entering their Empire 8 schedule. The next week against Cortland, Fisher would have to hold off another late comeback. After scoring 24 first-half points, Cortland would storm back with this Jake Smith touchdown reception, bringing the Dragons within a touchdown. It would be Maton to Cliccio again, though, from 30 yards out to help Fisher secure a 31-24 win over Cortland to start the Empire 8 season. The next weekend would bring the vaunted Courage Bowl, and the Cardinals would stumble out of the gate. Brockport hit Fisher hard early and entered the locker room at halftime with a 28-7 lead. Fisher stormed back with 3 unanswered touchdowns to start the second half. This Nathan touchdown pass to Wyatt Staley for 50 yards knotted the score. Nathan later hit Will Kuhn for a long 68-yard touchdown pass to give the Cardinals their first lead of the game, 35-31. Brockport responded with a touchdown, which led to the most iconic moment of the short season thus far. Nathan led a 12-play touchdown drive in a minute 14, capped by a QB sneak to continue Fisher's undefeated start with a 42-38 Courage Bowl victory. Nathan, of course, injured his thumb on that Courage Bowl drive. Freshman quarterback Colin Fusco didn't miss a beat, hitting Kuhn for a 78-yard touchdown pass on his first play as a starter at home against Buffalo State. The injury bug then hit the Fisher running backs. With Tony Fusco and James Chambers down, linebacker Chris Smith moved into the backfield and gave his full effort on this game-winning touchdown run. The Cardinals defeated Buffalo State 28-24. Fisher then put their undefeated record on the line against a winless Morrisville. The Mustangs gave the Cardinals a scare, tying the game in the third, but Smith and Fusco combined for 7 total touchdowns in a 49-31 Cardinals victory, moving Fisher to 6-0 on the season. The banged-up Cardinals then headed out to Utica. Nathan and Fusco returned from injury but were largely shut down by the Utica defense. Fusco scored the Cardinals' only touchdown in a 23-6 loss, Fisher's first loss of the season and first all-time against Utica. Through 7 games, the Cardinals scored a 6-1 record and a 4-1 record in the Empire 8. That's good for second in the conference behind undefeated Alfred. The Saxons have 2 tough tests upcoming against Brockport and Utica. Should Fisher and Alfred both win their next 2 games, the November 12th matchup would decide the Empire 8, with the winner taking the conference.
After the break, head coach Paul Vosburgh returns to discuss his team's hot start.
Big dreams and good grades aren't enough to get into college. There are actual steps you need to take. Finding someone who can help is the first and most important. For the next steps, go to knowhowtogo.org.
Welcome back to Fisher Football Focus, joined now by head coach Paul Vosburgh. And took a week off last week. Happy to have you back on, Coach.
Thanks.
So, coming off the bye week, we talked a little bit to players that we had last week about the bye week, a little bit different, practice a little less, stuff like that. You coach out recruiting. How do you tackle it as a coach, the bye week? Because obviously it's a key point of the year. Like you can't go backwards, but at the same time you need to rest. So how do you kind of balance all those things that you need to do on that week off?
Well, we tried to look at it and say, okay, some of our kids do need a rest. They were banged up, and so it was a good time to get them healthy again. But it was also a good time to get back to some fundamentals that you don't get to work on during a game week type situation. So we went back and did some fundamental drills and things that we hadn't been doing for quite a while to maybe sharpen ourselves up that way. And it also gave us an opportunity to look at some kids that we hadn't had an opportunity to look at and see where they fit in, and maybe down the stretch here they can get some more play time and help us.
Yeah, and I guess we'll bounce back the week before. We talked last week about the Utica game. I won't talk too much about it, but obviously this looked like you guys were kind of just kind of flat in that game, and a lot of that being 7 weeks in. So you think that kind of the bye week was in a good spot where it was able to kind of rejuvenate your guys down the stretch here after kind of a flat game like that?
Well, yeah, I think it was a good time of the year to have a bye week late in the season and get ready for a final push, hopefully, and towards the championship and that. So it was good to have that bye. We needed the bye week. Health-wise, we needed the bye week, and hopefully it'll help us mentally too.
And so you weren't on the show last week, obviously. You and your coach staff was out recruiting. So this point of the year is also kind of deeper in the high school years like that with the players that you're recruiting. So what are you doing out? Just doing a lot of visits, stuff like that on your bye week and stuff that you can't do during the season?
Well, yeah, it got us into the schools. We picked out different areas and that, and Coach Kramer, who's our recruiting coordinator, kind of sent everybody to where they're going to recruit, and they got in to talk to a couple kids. So for a few days, we were all talking to kids and just seeing how they're doing. Not long talks, just short, quick, into the school, tell them we're interested in them, and wish them the best of luck for the rest of their season, and invite them up to our last couple home games. So some of them will be coming this weekend to watch us play against Ithaca, and hopefully some of those kids will also be coming Hartwick weekend to watch us play and so on. So it got us a little bit of face time with some of the recruits that we think we'd like to have here at Fisher.
And how difficult is it to kind of recruit during the season? Because obviously that's building for the future is big, but obviously their season coincides with their season. Your first priority is making sure you win each Saturday. So, yeah, how difficult is it to kind of go out there and keep recruiting throughout the year?
Well, you got to recruit all year long, and during the season we write letters to kids and emails and text messages, and they do the same to us. They send us their highlight films that they've got already put together, so for part of the season and that. So we try to stay in some constant contact because our lifeblood is recruiting. We've got to get good recruits and so on and so forth. And the recruiting calendars have changed so much in college. You could wait till January to start recruiting. You can't do that anymore. Most recruiting's over with pretty soon, and so you got to make the contacts now and get in front of these kids and get them to know who you are, and you need to get to know who they are, so that we have a possibility of getting them here next year.
And so, obviously your team got out to that 6-1 start through the first 7 weeks. So I'm not sure if you do that before the season, but looking back, did you see yourself kind of starting like this 6-1 start, pretty strong start to the season when you were looking at the season before it even started?
Well, we were hoping we were going to be 7-0, truthfully, but we knew it was going to be a tough grind because we looked at the schedule and said, we know everybody in our conference is very good, and we knew going in that Olivet was a good team. Olivet is 6-1 or 7-1 right now. They haven't lost since week 1 against us, so. They're running the table right now. It looks like they could win their conference and get to the NCAAs. And then Springfield's been having a pretty good. They've come along, and they lost a heartbreaker the other day to Hobart. I think that was 12-6 or something like that, or 12-7, whatever it was. But they've come ways too. So we knew that the first 7 games before we got into our bye were going to all be tough. And of course, we were hoping to be 7-0. Unfortunately, that didn't happen in the last week there against Utica. But, we're still in pretty good shape where we're at right now. We just need to take care of business 1 week at a time.
Yeah, and through 7 games, is there any specific game that you can look back that you remember most fondly, that you think your team went out there and executed best, or just happy with all the wins?
Well, I'm happy with all the wins. A win is a win, and you're always happy, and there's got to be some good positive things that happen in order to make those wins and happen. And, I thought we played really well against Olivet in the opener, and so that was really good. But then, to come back like we did against Brockport, that was outstanding for the kids to hang in there. They're down 21 at halftime at Brockport, and then to come back and win that. So there's been some good highlights, I think, already for the season as far as our kids making some progress and getting better. And now we just got to continue to do that. So you either get better or you get worse. One of the two things is going to happen. So we need to get better and get ready for these last 3 and get ready first and foremost for Ithaca this weekend.
All right, and yeah, Ithaca, it's going to be big because obviously you guys are 6-1, but you guys, that still won't put you second place in the Empire 8. Alfred went out and beat Hartwick 61-12 this past weekend to stay undefeated, 7-0 in first place in the E8. Does your mentality change at all, or the team's mentality change at all when kind of now you're the chaser? You're not out there just trying to maintain that perfect record and trying to stay in first in the conference. You're kind of out there chasing, knowing that you have to win each week to maintain pace with Alfred.
Well, we don't really look at it much different because we're still in the driver's seat. And had we won against Utica, we might still have had to beat Alfred. So, as I said to the guys, everything we really wanted, which was we wanted to be undefeated, no doubt.
Right.
But our other big thing is to win the conference and go to the playoffs. Well, that's still there, and we control that destiny. We don't have to depend. Last year at this time, we were depending on people to have to beat Cortland in order for us to get there. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. Ithaca lost the last game of the season to Cortland, and we ended up in a tie. If we take care of business over the next 3 weeks, we still do control our own destiny. Now, it's a tough road. One game at a time, got to get Ithaca.
Yeah, man. Moving on to Ithaca. Up next, a couple facts about them. They're coming in 4-3, but coming off a big win, 34-0 against Morrisville this past weekend. But really, looking statistically, pretty average across the board. I mean, they only score 22 points per game, but their defense is staunch, and they only give up 19 points per game. So, for the most part, underwhelming, but they grind out wins. So, what are kind of the keys that you're looking at coming into this Ithaca game to go against a team that kind of keeps things kind of low score, low key like that?
Well, that's the thing. They're going to win with their defense and with their special teams. They do a good job. And if they don't turn the ball over, those two factors can keep them in the ball game. So we got to make sure we don't turn the ball over. We got to make sure we don't give up big plays. And that's the other thing they've been doing. Maybe they don't get those big glowing offensive stats for 400, 500 yards a game, but then all of a sudden they're coming up with, the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks they're averaging like 34, almost 35 points a game, but they've been coming up with big plays. They've been coming up with pass plays that cover 53 yards, this or that, and so they've been a big play team, or been a big team for making big plays and that. So we've got to stop the big plays and control the football ourselves and don't turn it over because they're an opportunistic team and they're a good football team.
Alrighty, Coach. Well, thank you again for coming back on, and good luck this upcoming week against Ithaca.
Thank you very much.
All right, time to talk about the defensive ball after the break. We'll have defensive coordinator Chris Keys and captain David Carroll on, so stay here.
Did you buy the flashlight and the batteries?
Yes.
Did you make sure we're not missing anything in the first aid kit?
Yep.
Did you go through the plan with the kids again?
Yes.
The more you prepare today, the more you'll be able to reduce the devastating effects of a tornado, an earthquake, a power outage, or any other disaster. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Visit ready.gov.
Welcome back to Fisher Football Focus, joined now by defensive guys. We got our defensive coordinator Chris Keys and Captain David Carroll. So happy to have you guys on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Have you guys back, actually. So, Coach, you were on earlier on this year, first episode, 2 games in, still kind of getting your feet wet, weren't playing any conference opponents, stuff like that. Now, obviously, 7 games in, a pretty decent sample size. You know your identity as a defense. You know kind of what this defense is going to be all about this year. So, what are kind of your thoughts on the way they played these first 7 games, and you guys out to a 6-1 start?
Yeah, I think we've started to kind of come into our own a little bit, especially now that we're getting into conference play, like you said. And we know that we're going to have a battle each week. So we definitely have some things that we need to improve on, but I think we've had some good success stopping the run. And one of the things that I really like to see is we're getting turnovers. So that's one of the things that has really helped us be successful and give our offense more possessions so that they can put more points on the board. The next thing that we need to do is score on defense. I think that's something that we can certainly accomplish in these last couple of games, is try to put some points on the board. But I think we've done a great job working in our base techniques and coverages, and we're going to continue to work those this week. And it was nice to have the bye week so we could go back to some fundamentals and work on things last week a little bit.
Right, and you mentioned there's some things you need to get better. Want to score on defense. Is there any other specific thing that you think that you guys can improve on to be even better here out down the stretch?
Yeah, continue to stop the run. I think also when we get in passing situations, work on our pass rush a little bit and get a few more sacks. And that'll help us with turnovers as well. You know, we get a great pass rush. It'll help that secondary out, get the ball out a little bit faster from the quarterbacks that we face, and allow us to just be a more attacking style defense. And I think that's something that these guys have embraced quite a bit, is they want to be physical and they want to attack, and they want to be a great defense. So I think we certainly can accomplish that.
So, David, you know, he's second-year starter on this defense, taking a step forward, second on the team in tackles right now to your fellow captain, DJ Ligori. You know, doing a lot of good things out there, flying around. What's really kind of clicked for you this year that you've been able to go out there and be so successful?
Well, one huge thing is definitely coming into a new defense at the start of this year. We changed up from a 4-2 last year, playing a 3-4, which gives me even more freedom to just find the football because I got different guys in front of me. They're moving along the line all over the place, so it gives me that freedom in the run game, especially to just kind of track the back, make sure that I'm there to make the tackle whenever he touches the ball. So definitely having a new defensive scheme puts me in an even better spot because there's no better position in the world than middle linebacker in a 3-4.
Absolutely, and mentioned you are a captain now this year, so a new role for you, you and DJ. What kind of role do you see yourself in as a captain? What kind of are you doing differently as a captain as opposed to just being a regular starter last year?
Well, hopefully I'm not really doing too much different as a captain this year because when it comes down to it, I'm just trying to rally up guys and make sure that everybody's out there playing their best, and I'd hope that I was doing the same thing last year, which kind of put me in this position. But I mean, there's always a couple more eyes on you when you're playing captain of the team. There's going to be more people looking at you, but I hope that I'm just doing the same thing that I have been doing, just trying to get out there, keep giving a full effort, and being a leader to some of the younger guys and some of the guys around me, but just making sure that everybody's always wanting to get out there and go after it.
And so back to you, Coach. Next segment, we'll be talking about the offense and how they've also been successful. But one of the big things is that the offense has been running pretty fast-paced, which has led to you guys being on the field a lot. Your defense on average plays more than 36 minutes per game. So does that put a little more pressure on you, knowing that your offense is going to go out there, move the ball quickly, and that your defense is going to have to be out there playing the majority of the game?
I don't think so. I think when we go to practice every day, we're working on that tempo. So we're going against that offense. So we're getting a lot of plays in practice. So I think these guys are used to playing a lot of plays, and we really want to limit big plays on defense. So and those usually lead to scores. So if they're getting, 6-7 plays a drive, as long as they're not getting many points on the board, I'm okay with that. Or if we're coming away with a turnover. So I think it doesn't really bother me too much. And I tell these guys all the time, we get an opportunity to play defense. There's nothing better than that. So, it doesn't matter how many plays it is or how many possessions we have or how long we're out there. We embrace the opportunity to be out there and play defense.
And, that you mentioned the offense has been successful, Dave. So, for the most part, you guys have been playing with the lead this year. Your defense been more tasked with having preserve a lead instead of having to make a big play to kind of get back into it. So does it kind of change your mentality a little bit, make you play a little differently, knowing that you're just out there playing to preserve leads instead of having to go out there and try to regain a lead?
I don't think so. I think from the start of every game, we always have the mindset that we want to come out and we want to be one of the three main factors, obviously, with offense and special teams as to why we won the game. So I think that no matter how the offense and special teams doing, we still have a job to do that we need to get done. So we rely heavily on both of those other aspects as well. But we still have to get our job done no matter how the offense is playing, no matter how special teams are playing, to put us in the best position possible to win. Whether the offense puts up 15 points or whether the offense puts up 50, we still got to be there to help secure a win for our team.
All right, and so 7 games into the season, 6-1 start. So question for both of you guys, was there any one game that stood out that I think you guys played the best, individually or as a unit?
One game that sticks out in my mind was the Courage Bowl. I thought that was, we obviously did not play very well at all in the first half, but I think it showed that this team has a lot of fight in them, and they have a lot of passion for this game, and they were not going to go down without a fight, and they wanted to. And it came from all sides of the ball. It came on offense, special teams, and defense for us to rally and make that big run. And then we just found a way to win, and I think that's really important. As you go through, especially the end of the season, we're going to have some tough games coming up, and finding a way to win is going to be really important.
Any game individually?
I'm not sure about individually. Try not to focus too much on that. At the end of the day, a win's always the best thing for us. The Courage Bowl as well was just something that really stands out this year, us finding a way to win. And the same thing happened the next weekend in another tight game. And what it's just showing is our team, as long as we're in that spot, doesn't really matter what the score is going into half. We just always feel like we can come back, or we're going to finish out a game, make sure that we're going to be the guys on top. We're just going to find a way to win. And, that comes through a lot of players who just really bought in and have believed, and halftime adjustments through the coaches. So I think, through the span of the season, we've done a lot of just getting the job done, finding a way to win, and just keep on fighting through each game.
All right, and really quickly, Coach, before we have to cut you guys off, you got Ithaca up next week, and they struggle a little bit offensively. Only put up 262 total yards per game, only 22 points per game. But the thing that really stands out is that they only put up 75 rushing yards per game. So coming off a game against Utica where you guys struggled to stop the run a little bit, do you think that's kind of a good bounce-back game to get you guys back in your rhythm and to stuffing the run?
Yeah, I think they're going to definitely try to test us in the run game. I would be surprised if they didn't. So they're definitely going to try to test us in the run game, and we've got to be sound with our gap fits and being physical as well. I think they're one of those teams, and it's always been that way with Ithaca. They've always had some big, strong kids, and try to use a lot of tight ends and fullbacks and try to pound the ball at us. So we certainly have. Are confident that we can stop the run and be successful on defense. Again, it's going to take a team effort to win the game.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Coach. Thank you very much, Dave. Thanks for coming on, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Up next, we're going to talk about the offense. We're going to have offensive coordinator Rob Kramer and running back Tony Fusco on, so stay with us.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Fisher Football Focus. Here we're going to end the show out with talking about our offense. We have offensive coordinator Rob Kramer and starting running back Tony Fusco on. So happy to have you guys on the show.
Thank you.
So I guess we'll start with Tony. Obviously, got injured earlier this year. Kind of came back for Utica. Only got 7 carries though. More of that was just the offense as a whole struggling a little bit. But obviously didn't look quite 100%. How are you feeling now, especially going into this Ithaca game off the bye week?
I'm feeling pretty good. It was nice to have a bye week. Gave us a little rest. Allowed everybody to just be able to recover from their injuries, even if they're a little big. We're feeling good as a team. And yeah, having only 7 carries, that was part of the game plan. We were just trying to slowly get me back into the game, and definitely better to go this week.
Is it tougher, especially when everything's struggling like that, you're getting back from an injury? Do you feel more pressure to get back there for your team, especially when you saw the injury to James going down? You guys are kind of down to no running backs. Is there more pressure on you to get back out there quicker to help out your team?
You always want to be out there to help your team. It's tough to watch from the sidelines and see them win or lose. You always want to be out there. But we have a great team, so Chris Smith stepped up, and he played really well for us, and he was able to get the job done.
All right, and so Coach, you were on earlier this season, broke down some of the stats as your offense has been putting up incredible stats all year. Save for the Utica game, still has held true through the first 7 games. You've been pretty dominant. You've played a variety of skill position players. It's been impressive all around, but the one stat that kind of really stands out is your time of possession. Offensively, your numbers are close to what you had in 2013, 2014, but those years you had the ball on average about 31 minutes per game. This year, only have 23, 35 for your time of possession, so a lot lower. And we talked a lot about pace and tempo and stuff like that, but it's kind of it's significantly lower than those past couple of years. So what is really 100% different? Is it just that you guys are getting more big plays? Is it the in between? Because 8 minutes shorter is a lot.
Yeah, I think going into the off season, one of the things we talked about, last year and December and January was changing a little bit about how we picked up the pace in the game, knowing that, we're not going to play a game where we're going to necessarily be on the field and drive in 11, 12, 13 play drives in 7, 8, 9 minutes. And we're not really built for that, per se. So, we went and visited with some other coaches, some other programs, and going into the season, we knew we were going to have a pretty solid offense. We knew we had to find some different pieces and weren't really sure how it was going to work. But, early in the season, some of our drives, as a high-paced offense, I think our scoring drive, the other day against Utica, the one scoring drive that we had was we went 48 yards, but we had the ball for 58 seconds. We ran 4 plays in 58 seconds. It's every 15 seconds or so is pretty impressive. But, you want to be quick, but there's the positives and negatives to it. You can come out and have a couple big plays and, you can go on a 6-play, 83-yard drive and score in 2 minutes and 10 seconds, but you also could go on a 3-play drive in 30 seconds and punt. So I think it balances out a little bit, but we've definitely been on the more positive end of that thus far this season. Caught up to us a little bit in Utica at times where, it's something where we were not completing passes, we weren't getting first downs. And I think a lot of that has to do with, and we talk every week about it, completions, first downs, and taking care of the football. When we're doing those things, our pace gets stronger and faster, and we are more effective. Efficiency, we were scoring on, of the 9-10 series a game, we were scoring 6 to 7 series a game, which is pretty impressive. If we can put up those type of numbers, we should be in most games.
And as a player, you've obviously, this is your 3rd year on this team, so you've been on those teams in the past, especially 2014 when you guys were going out there having longer drives like that, putting up big numbers to do the same thing now in shorter time periods. So how's it kind of changed out there as your perspective as a player out there, the offense?
Personally, I like having a fast-paced offense. It gets us on and off the field quicker. We're at a high speed, a high intensity the whole time, but we're getting on and off the field, so we get to have breaks. And we're a powerful offense, so it's nice to be able to get points on the board as quick as possible when we can. And like you said, in 14, when we were kind of holding the ball for longer, we had different personnel, we had different people, so we're working with what we got.
All right, and so I mentioned through 7 games, 6-1. And playing really well so far. Is there any specific game that really stands out, maybe personally or as a unit that really you're really proud of your guys playing?
I would have to say, obviously the way we came back in the second half at Brockport was pretty impressive. We had faced some adversity with some injuries going into that game, and we started out well. We marched right down the field and scored, and then we had four dead possessions to finish the first half, and we're down 21 points at halftime. And to see the way our guys came out and played in the second half, I wish I could bottle that up and get that second half out of us every day on the field. But sometimes the good things happen. We've been productive throughout the whole season, in an offensive standpoint. And last week was a little hiccup, and I think it was, just not our day at the end of at that time. So I think what we need to do is we need to retool some fundamentals, which we really focused on this past week, and really look to go forward with trying to play the same brand of football that we played for those first 6 games.
Tony, obviously been hampered by the injuries, maybe not even individually, but at any game that you've seen with the offense that's really you guys was on.
I would have to choose my favorite game is Olivet. Our first game of the season, we came out and we were a very balanced offense. We threw the ball well, we ran well, we executed, we were a focused team, and I think we just need to get back to that point. Like Coach said, Utica was a little hiccup, but we're going to be fine coming back.
Yeah, coming back, you do have Ithaca up next, but pretty staunch defense. They only allow 19 points per game, 326 yards per game, so both numbers much lower than what your guys average on offense. And having shut out more, so they're pretty hot right now defensively. So is there anything particular you think you can exploit, especially bouncing off that game against Utica where you got maybe a little more fire underneath yourselves?
Well, I hope we score more points. I think that's the plan going into anything. we're look at some things where we need to find ways to get the ball in certain guys' hands and be able to establish a run game to a pass game in more of a balance compared to what we did last week. I mean, obviously being down a little bit kind of preempted that process, but I really believe that we need to just focus on what we do well, more about quality than quantity.
Same thing. I mean, Ithaca's always a tough team to go against defensively. They're very disciplined. But we're going to come out, we're going to execute, we're going to focus this week in practice, try to capitalize on any of their mistakes and make big plays. Good big plays.
All right. Well, thank you very much both for coming on. Good luck against Ithaca.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for this edition of Fisher Football Focus. Be sure to check back next week after the Cardinals take on the Ithaca Bombers. For Cardinal Television, I'm James Bailey. Catch you next time.